A serial killer who returns on every Christmas Eve. The Santa Claus serial killer returns to take revenge. The movie begins in the Harris County water plant, Arizona. The opening scene shows us two beaten-up young girls tied up to the ceiling. A man in a Santa Claus costume has held them hostage. He brings out an electric saw from his bag as the girls cry in helplessness. The scene ends abruptly when he picks it up to kill them. 5 years later, the Christmas Eve massacre still makes the people of the county squirm in fear, mostly because the psycho Santa Claus killer was never found. The water plant, however, is still well and running. A security guard named Crandall has been appointed to ensure absolute safety. He's of an introverted nature and goes by the popular name of Creepy Crandall among the other employees. The manager is a woman named Nicole. On the day before Christmas Eve, she gets a call from her boss asking her about the safety measures they're about to take this Christmas. Nicole exaggerates the measures and jokes about the massacre that happened 5 years ago. Her boss thinks the joke is insensitive and makes Nicole apologize. Following that, she gets a call from her husband Dale, and the two immediately get into an argument. He threatens to come to her work to teach her a lesson and hangs up. A while later, Crandall is in the room where the massacre took place. He touches the pipes almost as if reminiscing about what happened that night. A malfunction in the plant distracts his attention, and he goes to fix it, leaving a wrench in the open when he's done. Then the new security guard, Jordan, who has been appointed just for Christmas Eve, arrives at the water plant. Nicole is disappointed to see him because she had specifically asked for someone named Tom to guard this night. Before leaving, she briefs Jordan on his duties. He has to do a perimeter check every hour and be on high alert since many teens trespass these premises on Christmas Eve for obvious reasons. After Nicole leaves, Jordan conducts his first perimeter check. He eventually ends up in front of the lake and stays there to take in the view. Crandall appears out of nowhere and tells him that he shouldn't be out there. Jordan asks him to show him around the place, but Crandall bluntly declines. When Jordan insists, Crandall asks him to stay inside the office at all times because bad things have happened in this place. His words creep Jordan out, yet he's no choice but to stay the night. Right then, Jordan hears a weird noise from the bushes. He asks who it is, but no one replies. He sprints back to the office just to be safe. A while later, Crandall is in his cabin trying to eat lunch when someone from the windows makes a noise. He walks towards it to check but finds no one. Jordan is now in the office when Nicole's husband, Dale, barges in looking for her. He searches every room and gets furious when he doesn't find her. He attacks Jordan, asking him where his wife is. Jordan tells him that she left a few hours ago and was about to go to dinner with someone. It turns out that she had plans with Dale, but she never showed up at the restaurant. He walks out, thinking she might have gone home. But halfway to the entrance, he hears a gunshot and a girl's scream. He follows the noise but is hit with an axe on his way. He vomits out blood and dies instantly. In the following scene, Crandall is seen washing his hands in the lake. He goes to Jordan and informs him about a girl named Heather who has been abducted from her house. A flashback shows us Heather working in her kitchen when a man in a Santa Claus costume knocks her out, wraps her in plastic, and takes her somewhere. According to Crandall, the last massacre started in a similar way. Jordan, however, doesn't know what he's talking about, as he's never heard of the massacre. Crandall loads his gun to be prepared for what is about to come. He walks through the facility, double-checking the weapons he's hidden all around. When he walks outside, he sees that Jordan is grabbing a book from his car. Just then, they hear the noise of a woman screaming and a gunshot from afar. When they check for the source of the noise, they find Heather lying on the ground wrapped in plastic. They bring her out of the shocked state, and she reveals that she was kidnapped from her house and brought there. A heavily injured man was beside her some seconds ago, but the killer dragged him away towards the lake. The three of them go to the lake and find no one around. Crandall takes a dive inside to check if someone is drowning, but instead he finds a person's arm. The other two freak out and go back to the office. Crandall makes them sit by the door and hands Jordan a coffee mug to use as a weapon in case he encounters the killer. He then checks if the killer has entered the building while they were gone. When he returns, Jordan tries to call the cops, but Crandall stops him. He claims that he wants to finish the killer himself for everything he has done. Jordan and Heather drive away in his car while Crandall still looks for the killer. When the car reaches the main entrance, they notice that the gate is locked, although Jordan is the security guard. He doesn't have the keys. Heather wants him to run over the gate, but Jordan wants to get the keys from the office while she waits for him inside the car. Meanwhile, as Crandall is checking the upper floor of the facility, he hears a noise from the electrical room. He walks in to find Nicole tied up and gagged. She's finally relieved that someone has come to save her, but her happiness doesn't last long because Crandall leaves her there as bait for the killer. He plans to wait outside for the killer and strike him at the right time. Downstairs, Jordan looks for the keys and finds them in the drawers. Unknown to him, the Santa Claus killer is watching him from nearby. After he leaves, the killer eats the Christmas cookies on the counter. Back at the car, Heather tells Jordan that she saw a bloodied man coming out of the lake but was too scared to go out and help him. The two carefully walk towards the lake to help him. Meanwhile, Crandall, who is still waiting for the killer, hears a noise from the staircase and finds the plate with Christmas cookies broken on the floor. He walks to another room and sees that the wrench he had kept earlier is missing. When he leaves, we see the killer hiding behind a massive pipe and watching him. Heather and Jordan are now near the fence, which has a bloody handprint on it. Jordan opens the shutter of the garage to reveal Dale's dead body tied to a chair. Heather yells in fear and claims that the man she saw from the car wasn't Dale because he had grey hair. Jordan makes her hide inside a car while he goes to check for the man she saw. In the meantime, Crandall has had enough of waiting for the killer to strike. He lets Nicole free, asking her to do exactly what he says. The two of them carefully make their way downstairs. Crandall takes Nicole to the kitchen and hands her a knife. He asks her to call 911, then locks herself in the bathroom until the police arrive. Sometime later, Jordan returns to Heather, claiming that he saw the killer, so they should drive away. However, the car doesn't start. They both panic and decide to make a run for it instead of waiting for it to work. But their luck doesn't help them because the keys to the gate do not work. Nicole is now making her way to the office to get the phone when she sees the killer on top of the building. She screams to let Crandall know his location and runs away. However, to her dismay, the phone line is cut and the radio phone doesn't work. She hides in the bathroom like Crandall has asked her to. Heather and Jordan also hear her scream. Jordan feels bad for trying to run away, leaving Crandall alone to handle the situation, so he asks Heather to keep on trying different keys and returns to help Crandall. Things take a turn for the worse when Heather is approached by the killer. She backs up with fear in her eyes, but the man catches her at last. Her scream echoes throughout the facility. Nicole hears this and realizes that the only way for her to survive the night is by running away because the killer will eventually find her in the facility. She runs out of the washroom and gets a baseball bat for protection. Yet when she runs outside, she's horrified at the sight in front of her. Security guard Tom, who was supposed to guard the facility, lies on the floor with his guts out and one arm missing. She assumes Jordan killed him and hit him with the bat. Jordan follows her behind to the main entrance where she tries to escape. Following that, she hears Crandall's voice. Nicole tries to call for him, but to her surprise, Jordan knocks her out with a single punch. Crandall then comes across an injured Heather who has been tied to a pole. She tells him that Jordan is the killer, claiming that she saw it in his eyes. Crandall is left shocked. With determination, he says that he's going to kill him no matter what. But before he can free Heather from the pole, an arrow hits her right inside her mouth, killing her instantly. Somewhere else, Jordan has tied and gagged Nicole. He tells her she's about to go to hell like everyone else in the world. It's clear that the man is not in his right mind. He also reveals that he killed Tom and took his place as the security guard. Nicole cries in fear, knowing that her death is near. Crandall, on the other hand, is on the rooftop from where he sees Nicole tied to a pole with Christmas lights wrapped around her. He runs downstairs to save her, but the Santa Claus killer slices her throat before him. The killer runs away right after, not giving Crandall enough time to process what just happened. He quickly composes himself and runs behind the killer while firing at him. At last, he traps him in a room and asks him to turn around. Unfortunately for Crandall, his gun runs out of bullets right then. Someone from behind him knocks him out with a blow to his head. When Crandall wakes up, he's hung to the ceiling and Jordan is in front of him. He starts to talk about different actors, confusing Crandall even more. He belittles Jordan for being a killer, but Jordan insists he has never killed anyone in his life. He discloses that he wants revenge from Crandall for what he did to his twin brother. A flashback of Christmas 5 years ago shows us that after Santa Claus had killed the girls, Crandall had shot him in the legs. Although the killer managed to escape, his injuries caused him to end up in a beaten-up hospital in Mexico where he had to learn to walk again. The killer was in fact Jordan's twin brother. Jordan has been taking care of his brother for the past years while plotting his revenge. At last, he wishes Crandall goodbye and lets his brother finish him. As the killer bends down to get his saw, Crandall strangles him with his legs and manages to free himself. He then goes downstairs and shoots Jordan dead, but he's stabbed right after by his brother. The movie ends as Crandall removes the killer's fake beard and sees that he looks exactly like Jordan.